All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our event. I'm really delighted to be hosting Igor today, the founder of PDF Butler. And we are going to have a nice informal discussion about his background, how he started his business. And for most of you, it's going to be a very interesting discussion because he will share with us what he has learned in his journey of starting and implementing a successful AppExchange solution. But before we get started, for those of you who don't know me, I want to introduce myself. My name is Andy Engenutkan. I'm a Salesforce MVP with 22 certifications. I focused my career on Salesforce flows, flow automation. And I do teach flow automation, share a lot of content on salesforcebreak.com. And I'm also the founder of Flow Canvas Academy, the training service around that. Now, today, we are going to have a nice chat with Igor. And as we go through our discussion, please do share your questions on LinkedIn or YouTube. We are actually broadcasting both on LinkedIn and YouTube. Do share your questions, and we are going to get to those. We are going to try and answer all your questions as we go through the live broadcast. Well, Igor is the founder of PDF Butler, and he studied actually chemistry in college. He told me when I discussed with him his background, and he said he did not like it that much, and he joined the IT department of a chemistry company. He says he loves coding. When I asked him what his hobbies were, he said trekking in nature. He likes to take a lot of walks in nature. He just came back from a long trip in Canada, I think, doing that. He was really
Exact.
happy about
Yep.
it. And then he likes badminton and he likes coding. So he counted coding as one of his hobbies. It's not very often that I talk to people and they actually count one of your main income activities or the main income activity as their hobby. This must be a delight, obviously, to have in your life. So, Igor, if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself so that the audience can know you a little bit better.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the introduction, Andy. Yeah, indeed. I see coding as one of my hobbies. You can find me if, say, okay, on a Friday evening, sitting behind my laptop and maybe everybody is already gone to bed and I just say, okay, let's do an hour of coding something. And it doesn't really matter what I code. If it's most of the times it's Salesforce related, that's for sure. But it also is sometimes just something that I find interesting, something that I've seen on YouTube or that people say, oh yeah, you should take a look at that framework or and then I give it a try and I sometimes learn interesting things. It's not only frameworks or ideas or whatever, but also ways of implementing things that can really benefit the application. But it's for me, it's I love it to do it on a Friday night, so it is definitely a hobby. And if and I made my job, my living of doing my hobby, so I love to do that.
That is
Yeah. Next to that, it's of course, yeah, hiking in nature. I live in a pretty wooded area, so there's lots of nature places where I can walk here. So I enjoy doing that, and I'm actually passionate about badminton, just the game of badminton and the tactics and the techniques around it, and I just want to know everything about it. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I think many of us watched badminton as part of the Olympics, and it's crazy how fast that sport is. If you didn't know badminton very well, you wouldn't probably think just by looking at the paddle and the tools, whatever, that it could be so fast and probably draining also physically to play, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but and definitely the physical part of it is I should train a little bit more on. But yeah, it is very physical, very fast, and yeah, it's for me it's a way to if you're on a badminton field, you can only think about the game you're in. You cannot think about anything else. So if your head's somewhere else, you won't play a good game, and it goes too fast. There is too much things to consider, and it's a way to really relax and to really disconnect to the busy days that I have. So definitely hiking in nature is also fun, but for me it's not really a disconnect because my head can still be in the day-to-day the day-to-day situations or items that go on. So yeah, that's why badminton is really for me the way to switch off.
It's about focus, I guess. Right? It's probably a little bit like coding and like entrepreneurship. Once you have your full focus on something, you are going to get good results, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. If you're very focused, hey, sometimes they say that when you're in the zone and that actually exists, you can be in the zone. And then when you're in the zone, it doesn't matter if people are around you, if things happen around you, you don't notice those things when you're on a field. So yeah, it is a little bit the same as coding, as building a company. You have to have that focus. And when you have that focus, it doesn't really matter what happens around you. You really focus on delivering and being the best at what you do at that moment.
That's great. And Igor, where in the world are you right now? People are wondering probably. Where do you live?
I live in Belgium, so I'm still living in the same city I was actually born. I never went to live somewhere else. So I still live in Belgium. I live close to the city of Antwerp, and just 5 kilometers from the Dutch border, so the Netherlands. So between
Oh,
Antwerp
okay.
and the Netherlands, that's where I live. Yeah,
That's great. And it's about 6 p.m. there right now, right? 6:07.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. So, and I think you told me you started with Java and .NET. Is that what you programmed first?
Yeah, exactly. So you already said it in your introduction. I quit school, so I graduated from school. So normally most of the friends I had from school, they all went for a job in chemistry. Being close to the Antwerp harbor, there is a lot of chemistry here, so there was a lot of chemistry jobs. But to be honest, those jobs were not for me. I didn't find what I was looking for, and all of a sudden they offered me a job on the on the IT department of one of the companies I went to apply for a job, and I said, the IT department, yeah, that's something totally different. Why not? Why not do it? So I joined there, and actually the first day they gave me an assignment, and I think I spent 12, 14 hours on the at my desk at the company I was working for. And I just loved it from the first minute, and I didn't want to leave for home before my program that they have given me, the assignment that they have given me, that was running. Afterwards, it seems they said that it was actually an assignment for the week, but I solved it the same day. I wouldn't go home before it was solved, and yeah, that's maybe I like to solve puzzles. I like to do those kind of things as well, and I think coding is also solving a puzzle at certain moments. So probably that's the reason why I liked it.
That's
After that, normally Java and .NET are the two very big programming environments. And actually, having done that like 12 years ago, I was a developer and an architect. And then 12 years ago, I ended up in the Salesforce context. Where obviously you can just do far more in a shorter amount of time, and that's what I really liked. So just that the time to market was super fast. You had results immediately. There was the platform was very stable. So if you program something, you know it's gonna work unless you hit a Salesforce limit. So yeah, that's where I come from, and yeah, having that Java and .NET background actually is pretty interesting in the Salesforce environment, because there's a lot of things on how logical thinking for solving a solution, you can still do that even if it's in a flow. You just mentioned the flow in your introduction. The flow is also just logically solving a puzzle. So you go to you come to a result. You have to get to a certain steps to take, and that's there you end up, and that's the same thing as programming. Yeah.
And I think in our prior discussion, you gave us the metaphor. You said, well, it doesn't matter whether the car is diesel or gas. If you know how to drive a car, you're going to drive the car, right? So, and
Yeah.
then that background in programming in Java, .NET, that gave you a very solid foundation for you to do anything on the platform as well, right?
Exactly. I changed that analogy a little bit, like when it's a shifter car or an automatic car, or hey, it's driving a car. So if it's like, okay, I'm programming Java, or I'm programming a Lightning Web Component or Apex, for me, it's all about, yeah, it's a different syntax maybe, but how to get there, how to research the internet, how to get stuff working. Yeah, I can quickly make those switches, and I think everybody, the developers in the company, have the same kind of idea that, yeah, shifting between the different languages, and it's also fun to do something different from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, you've told us about your background, and you were a developer and an architect. And how did you come up with the idea for your solution? You said you were introduced to Salesforce, and then you worked on the Salesforce platform. You found it actually very solid. One of the advantages of Salesforce you mentioned after programming .NET and Java, you say it's much faster to prepare a proof of concept, and to kind of show people what can be done using this platform. It's a solid platform that you can work on as a developer. And you worked on the platform for a while, and how did you come up with the idea for your solution? How did you kind of test the market, survey, and then get some feedback from your early customers? How did you find your product market fit?
So being in the Salesforce space,
But hold on a second. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. We actually need to tell the audience what PDF Butler does first, right?
oh, okay,
So
cool.
so here, let's tell the audience what PDF Butler does exactly, and then with all the different bells and whistles.
Yeah. So very short, a PDF Butler. That's the core application that we have. It focuses that admins can actually create complex, engaging, very branded documents. So obviously, the Salesforce platform, I always make a joke. The Salesforce platform is not going to be used by your gardener or your plumber. So when they come up with a simple one pager, say, hey, this is the stuff that I'm going to do in your garden, and it's going to cost you $500, whatever. That's fine. But when you're on Salesforce, you probably have more complex products to sell. You're more in a competitive market. So you really need to get that edge out there, and getting engaging branding documents that really explain what you are offering to your clients, products, services, whatever, it doesn't matter. So just the days where you can just say, hey, here's a one pager, we're going to sell you some hardware, and it's going to cost you $10,000. I mean, that's not gonna fly anymore. So you really need to make sure that in those documents, the benefits are there for the client, that they can see that they can know that it's really clear what the pricing is, and those kind of complex documents. That's what PDF Butler does. So obviously, next to PDF Butler, we have an entire suite of products these days. So we do digital signature, forms, SharePoint, Google Drive integration, contract management. So all of these applications are also there. Always PDF Butler being the basis of it, because it's all have to do with documents and document management.
Okay, yeah. So knowing the solution now, so how did you come up with this idea, and then how did you test it in the market to see that there's a need for it?
So after I was introduced in the Salesforce ecosystem, okay, to be honest, in a time frame of a few weeks, I just dropped everything that I was doing with Java and .NET. I just said, okay, I'm going to focus on this. We won a project for a pharmaceutical company, and afterwards I did multiple projects for financial institutions, telecom companies. So for many of them, exactly what I said in my introduction, it was very important to make a difference in and to show the benefits of the services and products they were offering to the clients. They all did that via PDF, so you can have a nice chat with somebody in a sales talk, obviously, but then you have to provide them with a proposal. And all the projects I did, they always went very well. We had good integration with the clients, and good feedback. But at the end of the day, when we showed it to the sales reps, or when we showed it to the management, they just say, hey, where is my document? Where is my contract? What am I gonna send out to the client? So that I have everything nicely. So the management was cool because they could create dashboards and overviews and forecasts in Salesforce. Awesome. But the people sitting on the floor, let's call it like that, they were like, okay, but to really help me do more, I need to be able to click a button, and like a second later, there is a proposal sent out automatically to this client, and I can focus on the next client. And I don't have to worry about, did I enter all the information in? Didn't make any copy paste mistakes? Is everything there? Is the right branding there? The right product descriptions? All of that would go automatic. So we received a lot of those questions constantly. And obviously, when you're dealing with banks and telecom companies, they always take a look and say, what are the market leaders there? Who's the market leader in document generation? And I implemented all of these tools. Even for some companies, we did Visualforce to PDF. Never we were able to reach the actual vision that the management had, or that they wanted in their to push out to their documents. And to be honest, almost all of the projects I did, when it was in the end coming out with a document, it always had a delay, or we always had the most difficult discussion, because we needed to get these documents out or created in the way that their marketing departments or sales departments have foreseen them. So at a certain moment, I was just sick and tired of those discussions, and I said, how can it be that difficult? It turned out to be very difficult. But I just said at certain moments, like, okay, there has to be a solution for that. And if there is no solution for that, okay, there were DocGens tools, obviously, but those all still had issues there. Maybe I can take my Java background and I can do something with that and build something with that. And that's how I started.
And what year was that, Igor? What year was it?
That should be around 2016, 2017. Yeah. So
Okay.
so it took quite some time to actually build something. One of the complaints that we had with some of the tools was speed. So the speed of generation. So when you're in a call with a client and you say, hey, I'm going to send out the document to you, or let's quickly go over the documents together. You can't just sit there 30 seconds and then wait for the document to be generated. No, you just have to have that has to be like super fast. And I was like, if a document, I had like a 4 or 5 page document in my head that I wanted to create. If that document does not generate within 1 second, then I don't have the right solution. Then there is no market fit for me. So that's where it took a lot of time, a lot of improvements, constantly, looking for improvements on speeds and preparing stuff, and that's where PDF Butler was born, and took quite some time until I got to that position, but then it was born, and it was good to have.
Then, as you explained on your big projects, you kept hearing the same requirements over and over again, right? Because in like a salesperson's sales cycle, it's very important that they send out a proposal. that proposal reflects all the details about the opportunity. And if they are dealing with products, and most big companies do, they deal with multiple products under an opportunity, then you have to be able to incorporate all that detail into the document. And we know that is very difficult or impossible out of the box in Salesforce. And then you have to be able to generate that really fast, as you mentioned. And also, you have to allow kind of like a user to maintain that style of that document, easily maintainable, modifiable
Yes.
until the last minute, so that they need to be able to see a preview how it's going to look like before they send out. And all this stuff, all these requirements that you've been hearing, and you have not seen a solution that kind of filled that space, right? So you decided to go into it and do it yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. Yeah.
And
So,
when you decided to do this, like, did you quit your job? Did you start doing it like on the side? And how long did it take you for you to kind of create something that was marketable, that you could give to people a solution?
well, yeah. So going back a little bit in the history is like, okay, you know that my hobby is coding. We touched upon that already. So I always had like a side project. Every
Yeah.
time we went on a holiday, it was like, okay, on a holiday, then I don't have to worry about work there, so I can do a side project. And I actually had several applications on the App Store, on the Apple App Store, for instance. So I always build out some applications, but I never took that step to actually market the application, to actually, yeah, build a company out of it. So also on this one, to be honest, when somewhere in 2017, the tool was ready. I was able to demo at some companies, some consulting companies I worked with, and they were actually quite good feedback. They said, yeah, we can use this. So I should have at that moment taken the step and said, drop everything, quit my job, just go for it. But somewhere I said, I have a good job. I actually like my job. It's well paid, and all the benefits that you have. And I waited 1.5 years before I actually said, let's do it, and let's go for it, and put it on the AppExchange, quit my job, and actually just build a company out of it and see where we will end up. Yeah.
Yeah, but you shared with me not everything was very glorious, right? There was no salary in the beginning, and it probably took some time for you to get your first clients, or like increase the number of clients. How long after you started doing this you kind of knew you had a product market fit? This is sticking.
Well, that I think in 2018, where I was still at my job. Huh? So I was talking actually to a telecom company. So because I already worked for telecom companies, one of the persons I knew very well, he says, "Hey, I also now work in a telecom company in the Netherlands. They have a big issue." At this moment with an implementation of a DocGen tool, and they can't seem to solve it. So he introduced me, and they gave me actually the opportunity to go into a demo. And I said, okay, yeah, let's take this opportunity. So I drove over there and did for them the demo. And actually, it was multiple hours. They showed me some of their issues that they had. And I was able to just build the config right there in the meeting. So I
Wow.
was sitting with the admins and the architect of that project, and he came up and said, okay, we can't do A and B. And I said, okay, let's take the config screen and let's build the configuration. Let's take your document. And a couple of these issues that they had, yeah, was just out of the box standard with what I had at that moment in 2018. So that for me was really like the eye opener. Like, there is a market fit here. There is definitely companies, and not small companies, because this was one of the biggest telecom companies in the Netherlands, that are looking for these kind of solutions. And so what happened is that I came home every night and I started complaining against my wife. And she said at a certain moment, stop complaining. I don't want to hear it anymore. Quit your job tomorrow and just do what you want to do and build a company out of it. And that's actually at that moment, and that must be somewhere Q4, October 2018, where I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. Stop everything. I want the application on the AppExchange within 3 months, and then we're going to build out a team.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Look
At
at how
this
it
moment,
turned
I'm
out.
also glad I did, yeah.
And did you end up working with that client?
Yeah. They indeed waited until we were on the AppExchange, and we were fully security tested by Salesforce, and we got the thumbs up from the AppExchange team, and then they actually went live with us. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. That's a great story. So we have a couple of questions. I want to go into some of the questions quickly. Christopher is asking, what are your strategies for refocusing when the focus isn't there to start? Now, I was also thinking when I was talking to you as a consultant, I find kind of the context switching a little bit difficult. I sometimes have to switch from one project to another, from one client to another. It takes me quite some time to kind of switch my brains and focus on that next thing, to be honest. Is that a challenge also for you, or when you're working on your own PDF Butler, the let's say solution, is that not much of a big deal?
Yeah, it is a challenge. Yeah, and definitely as a company grows, there is more and more of these content switches where you have to go into a meeting with marketing, and then afterwards go into a meeting with the development team, talk to a client, and and obviously everybody immediately expects that you are immediately in their context, immediately remember what was discussed, what to talk about. So yeah, that is difficult, and to be honest, yeah, it is just how the day goes for me. I don't take any real action on it. Maybe in the past I tried say, okay, I'm gonna more manage my time. Like in the morning I do 2 hours of this, and then and then I have 2 hours of customer meetings and 2 hours of the development team and whatever, and then the management meeting. But yeah, I stopped doing that, and now it's just like switching every 15-30 minutes. It's switching, and yeah, I see that as part of the process we are in now. I do see that if some of these items there, or some of the tasks, I'm able to find really good people inside the company, they take over a lot of that. But as you're building a company, it's not that if one aspect goes away or somebody is taking that over, it does not mean that there is no other things to do. Then there is other items and other challenges popping up. So and then there's another context switches and that arise. And again, then you have to solve those and see if there is other people or there is hiring that you can do for that if that really takes up too much of the time. Yeah, but
It's
content
kind of
switches
part of life,
is
you're
part of
saying,
it.
right? You
It's
something to
part
deal
of,
with.
yeah, part of my life. And I'm not sure, maybe I should indeed take action on it and say, okay, I'm gonna more time box certain activities, but at this moment I didn't take any action on that.
Yes, and there are a couple of questions about the PDF Butler solution, the product. Like CM is asking, what does PDF Butler offer compared to Gonexa? I don't know how to read that solution. And then there's another question, does PDF Butler replace DocuSign in a solution? Like how does this solution compare to other DocGen solutions?
Yeah, I do not know the tool that you just mentioned, Horexa, directly. I obviously know DocuSign. So but where we make a difference with PDF Butter is mainly the ease of the integration into Salesforce. It's really very well integrated into flows, into page layouts. We have a lot of different types of components. You can, even a developer can say, okay, I'm going to build something very custom. So for each person, a designer or an admin or a flow developer or an Apex developer, Lightning Web Components, we have that integration for each type. So that's where we and then there is the speed, obviously, the ease of the setup, the documentation that's online. These are the things where we most of the time make a difference. And I'm forgetting one big thing. That's a big shout out to our customer success team. I don't want to call them support, to be honest, because they do much more than just provide support. Our customer success team, and if you read our AppExchange reviews, everybody just giving them the thumbs up. So we make sure that our clients are very successful with our products. And if they have questions about setup or just to be guided into the right direction, we are there to help. So yeah, that's definitely the items where we bring a difference. If we see the questions, I'm going to ask the marketing team to quickly look into the application. Do we replace DocuSign? Yeah, we replace DocuSign a lot of times. So we see them more and more that we have a digital signature solution as well. So we see more and more us coming on to direct competition with DocuSign, and we also see a lot of companies that say, okay, DocuSign is a little bit too limited for us. The integration into Salesforce is not as we expected, and that's pretty understandable. Of course, they are a good solution. There's no question about that, but they have to focus on everything. They have to focus on outside of Salesforce, integration with SAP, and integration with other CRMs. So they don't have that real knowledge and that real focus on the integration with Salesforce like we have, and that's where we definitely do better when it comes to features and items that DocuSign can do. We are mainly on par, and just in a few years' time, we actually built out a sign butler to be on par with DocuSign in most of the pressing use cases that we come across.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Igor. And one question, this is a very interesting one. I'm curious about it myself. Vinny is asking, what was your experience with getting your app added to the AppExchange? Was it hard? How did that work out?
Yeah, it was an experience. It was definitely if you are a huge enterprise and you say, okay, we have already some SaaS solutions and we are now want to target the Salesforce ecosystem, Salesforce will definitely give you some priority. If you are a startup and you are small, you don't really get any priorities. So it is a long process at that moment. You really have to push and pull, and also you have to see that you don't make any mistakes. So what I've done in that period, because I said I want to go live on the AppExchange in 3 months. It was 3.5 months, but okay. It is really investigated what are they gonna look for. So if the security team is gonna look at the AppExchange team is gonna look at the application, what are they gonna look for? Obviously, they're not gonna look at each line of code, but there are static validations on the code. There is a lot of documentation out there. They require good documentation of what the app does, how does it work, how does it integrate with external systems, how does it integrate with the end user. All of these things, if you really document that very well, if you describe how the security setup is done, and you provide the architecture and all of the reviews, the static code reviews that are required, to be honest, then that process, when they finally start on it, that process goes quite okay. But if you say, okay, I have an app, it does what it does, I click a button and it seems to work, and I'm going to put that code on the ask the review for the AppExchange, there's going to be 1,000 remarks on that, because Salesforce has a couple of items, a couple of ways that they say this is what an app should have before we declare it safe. Obviously, you have to check, for instance, if fields and objects are accessible, because everything is managed with permissions in Salesforce. And if you obviously you just say, okay, I don't care about permissions, I don't check fields accessibility and things like that. I just think the logic should run even if you don't have access to the field according to your permission or profile. Then these things are very important. So, but that's pretty well described. So if you follow that, normally the app should go through in the first or the second round.
Yeah, sounds great. So you got to do your homework, I guess, follow the process. I
Exactly.
think one of the things that I find difficult dealing with the partnership team is with many of their processes, you don't really have a way of kind of inquiring about it. It's kind of like a black box. Usually you don't get a lot of information on when it's going to be done, where you are in the process. So that may be a little bit, let's say, frustrating at some points, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
you have to have patience. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to also ask you, okay, you quit your job now, you started focusing on your solution, and you're building your solution, you're building it out, you're selling it to clients, you're working on clients. Um, uh, how did you fund this? Did you fund it by yourself? Did you join any accelerators? Did you find some investors, or how did you grow it? Grow it organically, or did you kind of pour some money into marketing? Can you please tell me about that process a little bit?
Yeah, my focus was really on growing it organically. So yeah, just focusing on selling licenses and as quickly as possible, and yeah, and being getting break even by just selling the licenses. So we did not go find any investors or anything like that. We just say, we're gonna do it ourselves. Or I said, I'm gonna do it myself, and then find a good team to really help me. But the team that came on board was actually sponsored by the licenses that we were already selling, and those licenses mostly were, in the first place, were actually sold to companies on which I had personal contacts, or via partners, consultancy companies, which also I had personal contacts with. It was not that I were on the AppExchange and all of a sudden there is a company from the US or from Australia popping up. No, in the beginning it's really like, okay, use your network, and from there try see if people are interested or have a need to implement this kind of app. So no, obviously I did in Belgium. There is quite a lot of these startup communities. They offer they offer some subsidies, some budgets that you can have or that you can use for marketing in mainly, and they obviously offer a network of people that have good advice, that have been there, that say, okay, focus on A, focus on B, and if coding is your hobby, you very often you lose that focus and you just fall back to what you like to do. And so that was good that there was these communities to just push me in the right direction from time to time.
And how did you build your team? When you're building your team, what worked, what did not? Any recommendations in relation to that? And
Yeah.
I have actually a question here also from Cyril, and he's asking, which role was the first hire? How long did it take you to build a team, find the first 10 customers?
So the first hire was actually a developer, Christian. He's still on board. He's still one of the main developers. I mean, and the
That's
second hire
great.
was Andy van der Merch. Both of them are still on board, and both I consider friends, not just people in the organization. So for me, both of them are really good friends, and those got started in 2019 when we were on the AppExchange. So the first 10 clients, I think that took about maybe the first year, maybe the first 9 months. That definitely took to get the first 10 clients on board. I think one of the challenges when you start is convincing a client that your solution will be around for the long run, and not like, hey, yeah, we start, you sign up, and maybe in 6 months we quit because we can't pay the bills. No, we have to really prove to these companies. And when it comes to like generating the documents, that's contracts and proposals. It's really for a lot of companies core in what they do with Salesforce. It's not like something like, oh yeah, if that company drops out tomorrow and they quit, who cares? We can just do that manually. No, that process is really core, and getting those clients convinced, like, hey, when you sign up today, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be around in a year from now. We're gonna be around in 5 years from now. So you don't have to worry about us going bankrupt or things like that. And I actually used the reason that we have grown organically in our favor. Because in many cases, as I heard a couple of stories about people, angel investors, and then all of a sudden they want their money back. That's a risk for a startup. And when you are growing organically, then you don't have that risk, obviously, because of I was the only owner at that moment, and I didn't get any salary the first year, so I just lived from my savings. So okay, there was no question that I would say, okay, now I want to have a crazy salary or something like that. So yeah, that I used in favor, that we didn't get any angel investors, but really said we're gonna do it on our own, yeah, with our own with what we have on the bank account.
And are your employees right now remote or in the office? Are they local in your city, or how did you build a team? Like, and what works there in terms of remote work, and how do you manage people dispersed across the geography?
Yeah. Well, Belgium is definitely so. The first hires, like I just said, Christian and Andy, they were in Belgium. Belgium is not a huge country; it's a very small country, but still, nobody fancies of commuting 2 hours. Like for instance, where Andy lives, he had to commute 2 hours just to get to Antwerp, just to get somewhere centrally. And yeah, actually the most people that started and still starting today, they're looking for a remote job, a home office job. And I honestly believe that if you find motivated people that really say, okay, I love to do the job, I love to do this work, it doesn't matter if you sit together with them in an office every day and you can watch them that they actually are working for you. No, you can just trust them that they actually do their work. So yeah, everybody's remote. What we obviously do, everybody's remote, and we hire people across the globe. Like I said, I'm looking for, when we hire, we're looking for people that are motivated, that are really good in what they do, or we believe that they can be good in what they do. So you can have somebody saying, "Hey, I'm 10 years in sales, let's say, or in marketing," but sometimes that person that's 10 years in marketing is not as good, or yeah, is not as the right kind of insights and innovation as somebody that's just 2 years in marketing, but has much more, much more motivation to learn and to explore new things and to and to innovate on marketing kind of thing. So it's just an example, obviously, but that's the kind of idea that I have for most of the jobs that are there. So we just hire people across the globe. So we have people sitting in US, in Australia, in Japan, you name it. Yeah, several places across Europe. So yeah, we are quite spread out over the globe. What we do love to do is travel. So we do a lot of events, and in those events, we like to get the people locally. So if we do an event, for instance, in Spain, we make sure the Spanish team can come together. We do an event, for instance, in US, like for I think in a few months we do Florida Dreaming. The entire team in US is going to join for Florida Dreaming, just for them to also see each other physically, shake hands, and be able to get a beer or a cola or whatever they want to drink together and have lunch together, dinner together. So that's definitely how we connect, get people to come together, and then but yeah, and a lot of calls. Every day is a lot of calls.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when you have a remote team, the in-person touch or the event experience becomes important. I think as a leader, you need to be intentional about kind of, creating those opportunities for the team to get together. But definitely, I personally used to travel to work myself, and then I can't imagine right now. I'm working from home right now. I can't imagine driving every day 1.5 to 2 hours and
Exactly.
spending that time on the road. That's definitely an advantage of working remote. Um, so the one thing that this has been actually an interesting week, Igor, as you also observed. Salesforce, there has been quite a number of announcements about mergers and acquisitions. Salesforce acquired Tenix, a voice agent company. Salesforce acquired Own, a data backup and security solution. And we've just heard Bullhorn acquired Kona Search. These are AppExchange solutions. There is a lot of interest and there is a lot of activity in that space. At the same time, Salesforce announced their latest quarterly results. And as far as I remember, the number was Salesforce is growing 8% from quarter to quarter. And that number was not really seen as a great exciting number or something, like, so people are a little bit concerned about whether Salesforce is going to be able to grow as fast as
Yeah.
they did in the past. So your solution is just focused on Salesforce. You actually start with Java, .NET, and then you found Salesforce. You found the platform very strong and very easy to work with, and then your solution focuses on that. Do you think the Salesforce market is a big enough market for you? Have you thought about diversifying? And then you said, I think it's events, and you sponsor a lot of Dreaming events, community events. We thank you for that. You say people actually come to you asking for your solution to be available also on other platforms.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, we tell them to leave us alone. So every event, I mean, people come in and say, hey, I don't know anything about Salesforce. I'm from, let's say, HubSpot, Dynamics, or any other CRM tool out there, or they indeed are just looking for some kind of solution where they can say, okay, this solution is working on Salesforce, so why shouldn't it be successful somewhere else? And they would then take it there. But I think it's not only my vision, but the vision of the entire team is that we want to be, we don't want to be a jack of all trades. I just made the remark on DocuSign earlier that that DocuSign does not have that clear focus on Salesforce, and then also not that clear integration with Salesforce and in Salesforce automation, for instance. Is that it will be the same thing if we start focusing on all these different CRM tools. We will just be a jack of all trades. Yes, we can do something, but are we really good? Are we the masters in something? No. I'd rather be the master in Salesforce document generation, digital signature, than just being, yeah, having a lot of platforms to support. So yeah, that's clearly our vision. We want to stick on the Salesforce platform and build it out from there. That is market enough in the Salesforce platform. I mean, I was joking, I was laughing a little bit when you said they just have 8% growth. Like, if you take 8% of a couple of $1 billion, then I mean, I wouldn't mind having that kind of growth. Yeah, it's still crazy growth. It's still billions in growth every year, and yeah, that just means the markets out there for in Salesforce is just huge. So I'm also very grateful on the communities that Salesforce has set up, how Salesforce support these dreaming communities, the events that Salesforce itself does, and the way they motivate people to actually go there and to be proud of being a part of that community. That's pretty unique for me. That's unique for the Salesforce environment, and that's why I love to be in this space, because I don't think any other platform can build out that kind of a community where people are so excited to go to these events and to keep going. And there's thousands of people. We met at London Calling a few months ago. I mean, there was just a lot of people there, and this is a community event, and that's just great to see that. And that for me just shows how big the space is, and yeah, there is plenty of room to grow.
That's great. So we are actually running out of time. When we met right before, and you were asking me, is this going to take, how long is this going to take? And I said it's gonna take quite some time to go through all this stuff. Look at, we didn't even realize how much time passed up till this point, which is fantastic. It's a great chat. So one thing that I want to ask you, which is top of mind for many people right now, um, how will AI affect Salesforce and your solution? It seems like everybody is trying to integrate some kind of AI kind of solution into their own product. I'm wondering whether my connected fridge is going to get an AI assistant anytime soon. Probably it could happen because it seems like anybody and everybody who touches a software solution is kind of trying to integrate with an AI kind of functionality. So how is this? And it's very hard to predict. I do understand that, but how do you see that kind of play out? Do you have any preparations on your side also for your own solution? Please share your thoughts on that with us.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I always find talking about AI a little bit like talking about the elephant in the room. Everybody that is just, I mean, you're just getting flushed by information, and there is big talks about big tech on how AI will impact us. And I love to read up on it. I love to watch YouTube sessions on it. I still find until this day, although I spent a lot of time investigating and learning on AI, I still find it hard to predict how it will affect us all in the short run. But as big tech is really focused on it, it will impact us all. And definitely also in our organization in PDF Butter, we also looking at AI on to see how it can improve the work for an admin, to more indicate how an admin can do more complex kind of setups and prepare that. That is an idea. We did some talks already on with Sign Butler and the contracts and everything to validate that and review that. So there is stuff there, and will probably sneak into the applications in the coming year. But yeah, it's hard to predict. I think at this moment there is no silver bullet yet on this is how AI will change the world. This is how AI will take over all of our jobs, if I may say that, because that's what some of the big techs is hinting on. But yeah, I mean, it will just improve the productivity of people. And when I look back in my career, when I started many years ago, like 25 years ago in development, you had to do so much boiler code development that getting an application up and running took just already weeks just to get it up and running, and it didn't do anything yet. Now today, if or let's say 2 years ago, before AI hit, I could write that same application that I wrote 25 years ago in a few hours. So there is already big changes going on. And when I was developing and I saw these new platforms coming up, and I saw these low code platforms coming up like Salesforce, maybe people also were concerned about, hey, I'm a developer, how is this going to impact my job? But did we see the past years that the amount of developers went down? I don't think so. We just saw that companies use their budgets to do more automation, to do more innovative work in their environments, and to make sure people can be more productive in what they do. And that's how I think AI will evolve and impact all of us. Just make sure we are more productive, and then there's going to be more ideas, because if companies start competing and one company is going to invest in certain applications or improvements or integration with AI, then other companies also have to do that. And that's how then work will still plenty of work will still be out there.
Oh,
I
great.
must say that I have a concern somewhere, if I can just
Yes.
for 30 seconds. I must say that I have a concern out there, and I must say that I see AI rapidly advancing, and where I feel that we as humans can still be that can still have that edge is to make sure that we still keep that critical thinking, that's puzzle solving kind of things, that creativity, innovation, maybe even empathy, communication, social interaction. That's not what AI will take away from us. So having people talk to each other, having people shake hands and meet each other, talk about how things should work and how things can be programs and automation should work. I think that's definitely something where we as humans still excel, and we're just gonna keep being required. So if we make sure that puzzle solving kind of activities, that adaptability, innovation, creativity, we keep doing that, we're always going to be ahead.
Yeah, that's a great message, Igor. Thank you. I mean, personally, I can't imagine, there are a bunch of discussions about AI agents. I can't imagine AI agent selling to another AI agent in purchasing. Like I don't know how that's going to happen. So if you take the touch out of it, I don't know whether that's going to work or not. But that's a long topic. We can get into that some other time. I don't want to leave any questions unanswered. There are a couple of things here. Let's run through them quickly. Ilya
Yeah.
is asking a very good question. How did you come up with product pricing? How did you do the pricing?
So we actually initially with one of our first customers, we had a good discussion, and we talked about return on investment. So we have some kind of a calculation internally as well, where we, if customer really asking about return on investment, we say, okay, let's focus on document generation here, not all the other tools. But if you say, okay, normally a sales rep, let's take an example from a sales rep, would spend about 30 to minutes to an hour per documents that they have to generate, per proposal that they have to create manually. So if you are able to reduce that to just a few seconds, how much time of the sales rep can you win? And then you just calculate that back on what's the average salary, what's the hourly rate versus of such a sales rep, and if you can save 8 hours in a week, then you have that return on investment, and you have a good pricing, and you are able to explain your pricing to customers as well.
That's great. So you focus on the value that you provide, and then the kind of savings or additional revenue opportunity that your client is getting out of this, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you turn. And then another question, a more technical question. Vinny, who asked the question about the AppExchange submission, says, where are you leveraging your code reviews? Do you use Gearset, Clayton, or something like that to help call out security potential issues, and then do your tests to prepare for the AppExchange security review?
So we have static code reviewers. We actually do quite a lot of code reviews. Still, we let the developer explain what they are doing, and there are I can't really remember the name now. It's been not something I do every day anymore, unfortunately. But there are these tools where they analyze, scan the source code, where they scan all the libraries that you use, and then say, okay, there is potential issues here and there. So you have to solve them. You have to get rid of those remarks. And there are and actually, when you want to publish something on the AppExchange and you're a partner of Salesforce, Salesforce will provide you with these tools, so you can actually use those tools to do a scan, and then those tools will actually say, okay, this is where all the if there's going to be a review, this is what all the checks that they will do, and you are failing against the checks on that line of code and that line of code. So that's how we handle those things, and we still have that integrated into our processes, obviously.
Well, thank you very much for the answer. Well, this has been a great discussion. Thank you so much for your time. Before we close out, I want to ask you, what recommendations can you share for others thinking about developing their own AppExchange solution? Final words?
Yeah, good one. When I look back, first of all, if you feel that this is what you want to do, this is really what you want to build out, then I would say take the jump. Doing things halfway through is not going to make you successful. So you just have to take the leap of faith and say, quit my job, quit everyday thinking. And if you find yourself in some kind of a position where you're a little bit more stressed, maybe you also find things about yourself that you wouldn't find if you just feel sitting in a comfortable situation. Next to that, if you're thinking about, maybe I want to build out an app in the future, maybe you're still looking for a great idea, but if you have that idea that maybe at a certain moment I want to do something, build an app, build a network already. Start building your network. So make sure you're connected to a lot of people, make sure you're in these Salesforce communities, that you are helping out maybe on dreaming events, but that you have that network already built out, because at the moment you're gonna put your app online, that network is really gonna help you. And next to that, I mean, to be honest, just work crazy hard and advertise. You can sit at home and work crazy hard, but then nobody will know it. So you just have to make sure that you have to advertise that you are working hard and building out your product and being on the market.
Thank you very much, Igor. And I thank everybody who has been watching live here. And if you like this discussion here, if you want to share it with your colleagues and friends, this instantly becomes a recording on the LinkedIn platform. And it's also available on the Salesforce Break YouTube channel. So, you can share this. The recording will be available right after this live session. Thanks, Igor.
Awesome.
Have a
Thanks,
great
Andy.
day, everybody.